We are live. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. And I would like to welcome you and call to order our special council meeting for Tuesday, July 20th. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. So we only have one order of business in front of us this evening, and that is to fill the vacancy for Ward 2 that is now vacant due to a resignation from a councillor. So what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to go through the process that we're going to go through this evening. We've had 5 applicants, and I'm sure the applicants will hear this a number of times over the evening, but we want to begin by thanking the applicants for putting their name forward to serve our community. I think that anybody watching this will be impressed with the caliber of candidates in front of us. So each candidate will be given 3 minutes to speak, and then there will be opportunity to ask questions of the candidates. And after we go through that process, there will be a brief recess. And then when we come back from that, there will be a motion and discussion amongst council as to who to appoint going from there. And just as a reminder, for anybody that watched our last council meeting or has followed this, the process that we've adopted for this is that there would be a motion made to appoint a candidate to become councillor. In the event that that motion fails, and to be a successful motion, 3 members of council would have to vote in favor of it. But in the event that that motion fails, then we would entertain a second motion to appoint a candidate. If in that situation the motion failed again, then the selection would turn over to the clerk, and the clerk would essentially administer a procedure in what the successful candidate would be selected by lot. And that would all be on camera, and it would be administered by the clerk, and it would be essentially the pulling of a name. And then at that time, if that's how we have to proceed, then we would still have to entertain a motion from council to appoint the successful person that was pulled from the proverbial hat. So with that, we will get going. What I will do is I will ask the candidates to turn their cameras off and make sure that they are muted unless they are speaking and providing their presentation. And if you need help with turning your camera off, let me know and we can walk you through that.
I do.
Pat, what are you using? What device are you using?
I'm using an iPad.
So who's using an iPad? I'm not. I'm using a laptop. Ron, do you want to walk her through that?
Pat, if you simply touch the screen, there should be a bunch of options that show up. And one is it looks like a little microphone. It says mute. And
yes, I've got that one.
So if you press that button, it should do a slash mark and then it should mute you. You should be muted.
Yeah, I know how to do that. It's just stop the
camera.
So the video button should be right beside the mute button. So it should be a little video.
Stop video. Yeah.
Yeah. If you just press that, it should stop the video as well. Okay.
Okay. All right. So if I can ask the candidates now to turn their cameras off, and then we'll go through the candidates in alphabetical order. And that's how we will go. So it'll be Wayne Hall, Jaden Hodgins, Adam Sachs, Andy Van Giel, and then Pat Van Lucan. So it appears that, okay, so everybody's gone. So at this time, I will turn, I guess, yeah, any questions from council? So at this time, I will ask Mr. Hall to present to us.
Can you hear me?
We could, but now you've muted yourself again.
Unmute.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Mayor Kathy, council and staff. Lucan has always been home. I currently live here with my wife Pam. We both grew up in Lucan, but moved to Toronto for work and school. Ever since I was young, my dad instilled in me to give back to the community. At age 7, I remember volunteering at the Lucan Lions Fair and helping Sandy Young in the prize department. At 15, I started to coach hockey and have coached many teams throughout the years. At age 19, I became the youngest vice president of Lucan Minor Hockey. When Bruce Pocock was desperately searching for volunteers for Canada Day, I stepped forward to give a hand and eventually became chairman. I successfully ran for council and served 3 terms and currently sit on the Parks and Recreation Committee. I have formal education background in business, marketing, recreation, and tourism, which gives me vast knowledge base to benefit the role of councillor. My work experience is also an asset. Besides Lucan Biddulph, I've worked in 2 other municipalities, London Township with their roads department and the City of Toronto at Moss Park Arena. I have owned and operated a travel business, cruise sell-offs in Lucan for over 20 years. I have the history and background of the local area, which helps explain how and why things were done, which I can shed light to around the council table. During my time on council, many significant decisions were made I feel that benefited our municipality. Firstly, the development charge holiday, establishing a large item cleanup, surplus farm dwelling guidelines, created the local marketing plan to spur development, creation of a downtown parking lot under agreement with Petro Canada, and building a daycare and the community center upgrades. While on council, I spearheaded the research, design, and push for a splash pad to be built in the Elm Street Park. This really revitalized the park. During Craft Hockeyville, I accepted the task of creating a ticketing plan, handled the ballot registration, and the distribution of the tickets. What a great event. Even during a period when I was not on council, my main promises of creating a community garden, a dog park, and the old library converted to a Lion Senior Center became a reality. I know there are some major issues to be dealt with over the next few months, like the upgrade to the sewage treatment plant and assignment of the area for future development. I'm up for the task. Being a small municipality, we must be mindful not to extend the municipality. We must be able to manage the debt in case we are surprised with an unexpected major expense. It's an exciting time for the municipality with new residential development, next phase of the community center, completion of the business park, and new business growth in the north end of the core. I feel that I've proven that I can handle the task, and I'm willing to serve the community as Ward 2 councillor until the end of the term. I would appreciate you showing your confidence to me. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that, Mr. Hall. Any questions for Wayne at this point from my colleague? Councillor Regan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Wayne. I do have a question. More and more I hear about from residents about Lucan Biddulph losing the small town feel. And I'm just wondering what you feel you could contribute to assist council in order to maintain the small town feel that we had.
I believe we still have the small town feel, even though we have expanded our development in town. We still have the quiet main streets and and that, but we still have all the functions of a normal city and town with the recreation center, the library, etc., etc. At times I wonder whether we're growing too fast, but we did need to grow in order to sustain the municipality. It was, we'd either have to amalgamate with another municipality when I got on council, or bring in development. And that's what we decided at the time, that was our way out of things, because nobody wanted to amalgamate with us.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other questions? Any other questions for Wayne? Wayne, I just had one. You certainly highlighted what we've got on the books over the next little bit. And, you know, you've alluded that it is an exciting time, and I think we would all agree with you on that. Is there any other project that you would bring forth in the 18 months ahead of you?
I would like to see a 55 plus area of development. There's many people going into their senior ages that would still like to own a house, but not the size of the houses that are being built today, whether it be a mobile home or like mobile home or small houses, 12 to 1,500 square feet, single floor, that they could live comfortably in until they have to move to another service.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that, Wayne.
Sorry, I just got one more comment.
Sure.
I think we also do need to try and find some other avenues of bringing more people in the community, whether, I know we have Bacon Fest, but that's one day a year. We need to either try and find a tourism item to bring people in, or create say like a month of December is like Christmas with all the stores decorated inside and out, playing music in the main street, and even having a visit from Santa Claus during the month. So just some different things to be able to bring more people into town to help everybody, the businesses around.
Great. Thank you for sharing those ideas.
Thanks.
Okay, one last call for questions. Okay, thanks very much, Wayne.
Thanks.
Okay, at this time, I would like to ask Jaden Hodgins to join us. Welcome, Mr. Hodgins. Over to you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor, councilors, and staff for this opportunity to apply for the Ward 2 councilor in the township of Lucan Biddulph. My name is Jaden Hodgins, and I've been a resident of Ward 2 for the last 3 years. I'm originally from North Middlesex, but growing up, I did spend some time playing minor hockey here in Lucan, including dodging slap shots from Lucan's very own Logan Couture. And a small note that I really should not have been dodging those slap shots since I was a goalie, but that kid could really shoot the puck. Anyhow, I believe that all members of council have had the chance to review my cover letter, which outlines the professional background and technical experience I bring to this position. So with my time today, I'd like to provide some more information about why I applied for this vacancy and why I think I do a good job as a Ward 2 councilor. First off, I want to say that I really love living here in the township of Lucan Biddulph. I find it to be such a great, tight-knit community, and it's a wonderful place to live, grow, and raise a family. So as a resident, I would also like to take this opportunity to quickly thank the current council and the township staff for all their hard work. You all do a fantastic job of making this community as great as it is, so thank you all. A primary reason I applied for this position is because I'm genuinely very interested in the role that council plays in our community. As a civil engineer and public servant working for the City of London, I have a tremendous appreciation for the work that local council does. including representing the public while at the same time considering the best interests of the municipality, developing policies and programs, and determining which services the municipality provides. I certainly recognize that this is a very important and busy time for our township and council. So I want you all to know that I'm 100% motivated and dedicated to doing my very best in this role. I can assure you that if I am appointed, I will be dedicating a significant amount of my time getting up to speed on the current affairs in the township, including some of the key projects and initiatives like the wastewater treatment plant expansion of the residential growth boundary, and expansion and revitalization of the Lucan Community Center. It's a lot of expansion. I'd also look forward to participating and getting involved with committees and boards, as well as attending conferences such as AMO on behalf of the township. I can assure you that if appointed, I will be actively involved and engaged with the constituents of Ward 2, as well as the broader public. I have extensive professional experience communicating and consulting with the public, and I would look to the township's policies and protocols for handling complaints and inquiries. In closing, I believe that my technical skills and experience would complement this council. I'm a fast learner, and I'm confident that I could hit the ground running in this role. I would be active and engaged during council and committee meetings, not shying away from asking questions or getting more information when needed. And I would look forward to working collaboratively with other council members and the township staff. So I know I would be a great addition to your team. Again, thank you for this opportunity.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Hodgins. Okay, any questions from council? Councillor Regan.
Hi, Jayden. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have the same question as I had for Mr. Hall. Hearing from a number of residents that Lucan Biddulph losing its small town feel. And again, I would like to know how you would assist council in maintaining that small town feel.
Okay, I think Lucan definitely still has that small town feel, and I guess it kind of depends on how the town grows. You know, it kind of ties in with that residential growth boundary, how we see development and growth within the community, which is inevitable, but it's about permitting smart development and you know, relying on our professional staff at the township, the planning staff and engineering staff, making sure that we have the proper services for that development. And I think it's also about ensuring a safe community. I always feel very safe here in Lucan. You know, I tend to leave my wallet and keys right in the car and don't lock the door. Probably shouldn't say that in a public meeting, but you know, it's
No.
I always feel so safe here. So I think that's a big part of the small town feel as well. So
Right. Thank you very much, Jayden. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Right, thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Manders.
Hey, Jaden. I'll let you pick either one. I'm just wondering what's one asset or something that Lucan Biddulph has that you're surprised for a small community, or what's something lacking you're surprised that our small community doesn't have?
Something that surprised me that we do have, and I guess it's not localized to just Lucan Biddulph, but it's more of a provincial program, but that intercommunity transit, those buses that can take you from Lucan to London or even the Grand Bend way. I was quite surprised to see that. And I think it's a great thing to have, just, I guess, allowing those connections, you know, for people that may not own a vehicle. So I think that's a great thing that maybe I think a lot of people don't even realize that we do have that. Yeah, I guess that's one.
Thank you. Oh, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Westman.
Hey, Jayden, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Quick question for you. I mean, you have your experience working in the city. Ward 2 does take a little bit of the town, but it's also an agricultural ward as well. There's a fair bit of agriculture in the ward. And, you know, the ward I represent is Ward 3, a lot of agriculture, a lot of farming. So do you feel comfortable that you'd be able to communicate with farming families and businesses as well as the residential urban area?
Absolutely. I believe I'd be comfortable communicating and dealing with farming families. I grew up on a farm myself, just north of here. So I'm very comfortable dealing with anybody, whoever they are.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to take a page out of Councillor Regan's book, and I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Hall, and that is, you know, you've alluded to knowing what kind of the big things are on our plate for the next few months, and understanding that this position is really only 18 months. But is there anything that you would bring forward as a project, either to try to tackle or to begin to tackle?
Sure, and not to just take a page out of Mr. Hall's book, but I think one of the big challenges right now is with housing affordability, and a lot of people that want to stay in the community may want to downgrade, but have trouble finding a house within that price range. So I think it kind of goes with how the town grows, how it develops, but I think having those options available for people and allowing people to stay in this great community through affordable housing is definitely would be a focus, I think, of mine. And then just also, I think that the time, like on the cusp of coming out of the pandemic and the lockdowns, I think it's it's an extremely important time to make sure that we are supporting local businesses and helping them recover. It's obviously been a very challenging time for businesses through the pandemic and lockdowns. So I think that's also a key initiative that should be looked at.
Great. Okay, thank you for that. All right, one last call. Any other questions or follow-up? Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Hodgins. And our next one up is Adam Sachs.
Hello.
Welcome, Adam, and I will turn it over to you.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, it's been a while for public speaking for me, so bear with me. Hello, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. My name is Adam Sachs. It's been a pleasure meeting and chatting with everybody leading up to this special council meeting. I am here tonight with others who are very qualified for this position, and I would also love to express my interest in the Ward 2 position that is currently vacant. One moment. A bit about myself. I'm 39 years old, resident of Lucan Biddulph. I've lived in our community for just over 4 years with my wife and our 5 children. Right from the moment my wife, my children, and I first moved to the community, we've been very active members of Wilberforce School through volunteering, fundraising, and other school initiatives. My wife is currently the school council chair and vice president of the Home and School Association, and I sit in on as many meetings as I am able. As a small business owner, a wedding and portrait photographer, it has allowed me to get to know many of our amazing community members through photographing their families, sharing memories, and listening to their family stories. I understand the value of economic development in small town Ontario, and I see it firsthand through the lens of an active small business. And I believe our largest asset as a society is investing in the people who live and work in our community. After going through a global pandemic and going forward, I know there will be much need in supporting small businesses. And honestly, we should expect that not all of our community small businesses will even have the ability to survive when we get to a full reopening. Although I do not live in Ward 2, I think my active role within the school, my passion for economic development, and my interest in being a part of the process to make a difference would be an asset for this position within the council. As Ward 2 councillor, I would not only represent the citizens of the ward, but also represent the Lucan Biddulph region as a whole. I hope to bring representation for families with younger children to council, as well as representation for local small businesses. Thanks for letting me be a part of this process.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. Okay, questions from my colleagues. Deputy Mayor Manders.
Hey, Adam.
Hey.
I'm just wondering what asset or what something in Lucan Biddulph that we have that you're surprised for a small community, or something that we don't have that surprises you for a small community. Either or, I'll let you pick.
I can do both, actually. So I'm quite surprised that we have a splash pad. I know it's fairly new, but that's a pretty big achievement for a small community. You see them in big cities, of course, but different populations, different demographics. So that's pretty amazing. What I'm surprised that we don't have, which is something that they have in a lot of other small towns and in cities, are parks that have forested areas. So I know we have some things in the works, and I've spoken with Alex before about a lot of tree planting that's happened, but really to go for a hike or to take your dog for a walk, there are areas that are natural, but there is really no older growth forest. And I know that's not something that can be done quick, but when we moved to the community, that was one of the first things I went looking for, and it wasn't an easy thing to find.
That's very great comments. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Regan and then Councillor Westman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Adam. Same question I'm going to ask you as I asked the previous two. Thinking about the small town feel for Lucan and how you can assist council in maintaining that.
Okay, so I'm going to differ from the last two applicants. I think we are kind of losing the small town feel. I haven't been here very long, but already in the short amount of years that I've been here, the change is happening quickly. I think to stop that from happening, I think it's all about the development. It matters how we develop, who we're developing, and who we're attracting with those developments. So if we're building a lot of single family homes that are priced at a range where only people who are selling single family homes can move into, then we're forcing a lot of people who have grown up into our communities who need starter homes to not really have places to live, and they're moving out of the community. And those people are the small town charm, as well as low income housing. We don't have a huge amount of low income housing. And without low income housing, you lose the diversity. So one demographic with one type of people, if they're not getting along with each other, then there's no small charm.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Westman.
Hello, Adam.
Hey.
I'll ask you the same question that I asked before. And my apologies to Wayne Hall. I already know Wayne for a very long time, so I know the answer to this question. But Ward 2 does have a large agricultural component to it. And you feel comfortable going out to farms and standing in the field talking about drains and fences and things like that with our farming community, because that will be a portion of the responsibilities of the councillor for that ward.
Yeah, I would totally feel comfortable. I wouldn't want to give the impression that there's a divide between the town people and the country people. I think, putting on my boots and going out and talking to people in a field, I'm not opposed to that. And I'm okay listening to any issues or concerns they have. I drive through the country every day. I live in, I didn't mention before, but I live in Granton, so we're surrounded by country. Alex is actually my counselor, and you can't get more country than driving between Granton and Lucan.
You're good with that, Alex? Any follow-up? Okay. Okay, and I guess the same question is, in the 18 months ahead of you, what if any project would you bring to the horseshoe to start to push for?
Well, I know a main thing that is on the outlook is town boundaries and adding to development growth. And I would need to quickly get up to speed on that sort of thing, but I would really like to help make decisions on how that growth is made and in which direction and who's involved and which properties are involved. I think knowing how the town is growing and where it's growing is really going to set the future history of not just Lucan, but Lucan Biddulph. 100 years from now, what we do now will be part of that history and the way things change.
Thank you for that. Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Sachs. One last call, any questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Sachs. Up next is Andy Van Giel.
Everybody hear me okay?
We can hear you, Andy.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Chair and Council. Thank you for your consideration in offering me the opportunity to fill the Ward 2 Councillor seat. I've been a resident in Lucan Biddulph for the past 68 years. And I've seen a lot of many good changes happening over those years. I'm now retired after 41-year employment with Bell Canada. My hobbies are gardening, reading, biking, and I'm also an active member of the Lucan Seniors Club. We meet through the fall and through the winter months at the Lucan Community Center. I started my political endeavors as a chairman for the Lucan Hydroelectric Commission. I was on that board for 16 years. After Lucan Hydro was sold to Hydro One, I ran for a council seat because I wanted to be part of where the money went from the hydro proceeds, which was $1 million at the time. So I ran for council. I was successful. I've been three terms on council, and I understand the operation and procedures and policies of council that guide us into the future for Lucan Biddulph. As part of being a council member, we're also on committees. I've been on the arena board, the blue water recycling, and the fire board. And I've always enjoyed going to meetings outside of our municipality to represent Lucan Biddulph. There will be some major decisions from this council in the next 6 to 12 months as I see it. Number one, the community center upgrades and the expansion. And with the help of the federal and provincial governments for a $5 million kickstart to that, there will be many things happening in the near future that I see about fundraising for the community. The next one is future residential land development. Lucan has been explosive growth in the last several years. And now these places are being filled up. We're looking for new expansion and growth. How is it going to fit into our overall plan, this land development? Where is the best place for it? When is it going to happen? These are all questions. And this will trigger my third thing is this will trigger a new expansion for the Lucan sewer treatment plant. I've heard a lot about this already from different people. The expansion or the new treatment plant. This is going to be mega dollars. And how are we going to pay this hefty price? Will it be all through the new development or growth? These are all questions asked. Now I want to put in a plug for this council. The
So,
most recent,
Andy, I'm going to interrupt you because you've hit your 3 minutes. So
Okay.
I'll ask you just to kind of wrap it up out of fairness to the other candidates.
okay, I wanted to mention the lights, the new lights we have at Highway 4 and the Saintsbury line. It's a long time coming. Congratulations to this council and the previous councils that dealt with it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much, Mr. Van Giel. Okay, questions for Mr. Van Giel at this time? Councillor Regan.
Good evening, Andy.
Hey, Dan.
I'm going to have the same question. Again, a number of people have approached me asking me about Lucan Biddulph losing this small town feel. I'm just wondering if you give me your thoughts on it and how you would assist this council in maintaining that.
Well, I still think we're in a small town feeling, but maybe working out of it with all this new development that is probably coming on. So I do still think, Dan, that we are on a small town feeling. And we have so much in our small town for our residents.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Andy.
Any other questions from council? Deputy Mayor Manders.
Sorry, I just want to make a comment so the other members realize I just chose not to ask a question to Wayne and Andy. I worked with both of them for 4 years and really enjoyed that time. So I do know their background much better than the other 3 candidates, and that's why I chose to do that. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Dave. And I'm thinking that Councillor Westman's putting up his hand to echo that, but I'll let Alex speak for himself.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work with both Wayne and Andy for a number of years. So I feel comfortable that my question would be answered well. So yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you for that. I am going to ask the same question that I've asked all the candidates up to now, Andy, and that is, in the 18 months that you would be sitting around the horseshoe, is there a project that you would like to bring to the table to either hit the ground or at least start the discussion on bringing to the municipality?
Well, I would like to see more stuff for seniors and keep seniors in our municipality by somehow or another in the development process with this new development to add in seniors. We need apartments for seniors, affordable apartments, and that would be one main goal that I would pursue. And yep, I was successful.
Great, thank you for that. One last call for questions. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Van Giel. And at this time, I will ask Pat Van Galuken to join us.
Hi.
Okay, great. Pat, over to you.
Okay, I believe all of you are familiar with my volunteer work in this community, so I don't feel the need to run through my resume over the years. In conversations with members of this council, I have been made aware that the Ward 2 Council position is involved with Community Economic Development and Lucan Parks and Rec Department, both of which I am very interested in contributing my time and effort to. As you know, I was a part of the original Community Economic Development Committee, and I helped start the community garden, along with other council commitments. In the upcoming months, I'm looking at retiring, so this will free up even more of my time. I love this community, and in the past, I've worked diligently on community projects and events. In fact, I'm working on one now. Also, my extensive volunteer board of directors experience has given me insight into due process and the importance of structured meetings, quorum, and decision-making. Going forward, I see a growing, thriving community, and I believe that decisions made for continuing this growth must be made considering both old and new residents, as well as old and new businesses. This is my home, this is my heart, and I truly feel I can bring this to this council position. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Ms. Van Galuken. Now, I will ask for questions of Pat.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Manders.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, Dave.
Just same question, just wondering what asset or something we have in Lucan Biddulph that surprised you as a small community, or what something that we don't have that's a surprise you as a small community, and you can pick either or.
I think it's not just Lucan Biddulph, or just not just the town of Lucan or the town of Granton. It seems to me that still that puzzle of how to solve the small town Main Street and keep it revitalized and keep people interested in shopping and so on and so forth. It's always been a puzzle to me. And I had a really good conversation with a shop owner downtown, and she's struggling, right? So I think we need to maybe do something to kind of kickstart that. Sidewalk sale, I don't know, like go door to door and figure out how we can get, because they've been in this lockdown too. So it's a tough one. That's not a surprise. I don't know. I've lived here for so long. I don't think anything surprises me.
That was a good answer. That was a good answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think I saw Daniel, Councillor Regan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Daniel.
It's just the same question I've asked before, is just that small town feeling. You might have alluded to it just a little bit, but how would you assist this council in maintaining that small town feel for Lucan Biddulph?
Well, I don't know whether you know this or not, but when we did the Move to Lucan campaign, our motto was get that small town feeling. So, I do think we need to get people more engaged with the local businesses, and how we do that, I don't know. But I also think that the community center, revitalization is going to be wonderful, because we'll try to bring people together as a community. And also Summerfest, which I hear is coming the end of August, is going to be an excellent idea, an excellent project, because people can come out and see each other again, and get that neighborhood feeling, I think, has been missing. And I think COVID has also played a large part in that. So.
Great. Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Westman.
Hi, Pat.
Hi.
Hi, same question. I think I know the answer anyway. You kind of live out in the country a little bit yourself, so your comfort level of going out and dealing with farm issues, how do you feel about that?
I'm fine with that. My husband was raised on a dairy farm, and he still has sisters that are still farming. So, I'm comfortable. I have friends that live on farms out here, so I don't have an issue with that. I wanted to say one other project. This is not answering your question. I'm sorry, Alex, but one other project that I'm quite interested in is a master plan for trails. So somewhere, we can get, because people want to get out and walking in the trails. And I think Adam alluded to the trees, but I don't think we have a town-owned trail. I believe they're all privately owned. So that's something I'm interested in. So.
Okay. Any other questions before I ask mine? And maybe you just did answer mine, Pat, but my question that I've asked the other four candidates is, in the 18 months that you'd be sitting around the horseshoe, is there a particular project that you would like to bring up for discussion to get working on?
There's a number of little things, like accessibility in the stores downtown. Maybe try to take another hard look at the downtown core and see if there's a way we can revitalize it a little bit more. A master plan for trails, parks and trails, and maybe a town, not a yard sale, but a shopping day where, people can, what do they call that? I can't think of it now. When all the stores put their stuff outside, and, and I get people circulating around the town again, right? So, and of course the arena project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Pat.
Welcome.
Okay, so at this time, we've heard from all the candidates, and what I will do is ask that we just take a 2-minute recess. There's been a lot of information that's been shared by the candidates. I would ask all of council to keep your cameras on you, and then we'll mute ourselves. And I know, as I said, I know personally, I've heard a lot from the 5 candidates, and I just kind of want to process a few things before we enter in the next step. So it's 7:27, so we'll look to rise at 7:30. Okay, we'll just take a quick recess for that. Ron, do I need a motion for that? No, okay.
Do we come back? Do we stick around or?
Yeah, you guys, yes, the candidates stay on. I would ask that you keep your cameras off and muted, but you can certainly watch the proceedings and keep on. Okay, sorry, I should have clarified that. Thanks, Pat. Okay. Okay, so it's 7:30, and I will ask council to come back out of our little brief recess. I hope, is that enough time for everybody to work through everything? Okay. So going forward, you know, as I mentioned earlier, certainly a big decision for council, and really, and after listening to all 5 candidates, again, thank you and congratulations to all of you for putting your name forward to serve our community. It really, it was great getting to know you and listening to your love of our community, and it's just great to hear. So what I would ask, I would open up the floor and to council for a motion to move forward. Deputy Mayor Manders.
I'd like to move forward, make a motion to select Jaden Hodgins to represent the Ward 2.
Okay, and can I get a seconder for that?
I will second that motion.
By Councillor Westman. So at this time, I'd like to open up it for discussion from council. And Deputy Mayor Manders, since you made the motion, would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, I would. I'd like, usually after making a motion, I don't make an explanation, but I think it's appropriate in light of this. You know, this is a tough decision. There's no doubt. I mean, five credible, capable candidates. None of us get paid enough to make this decision. We I mean, we're taking the Ward 2 constituents that vote, vote, and nobody knows their vote, and we have to do this live. So it's a difficult decision. And for me, and how I've now come to Jayden is, it's about checking the boxes, and and all the candidates were checking exactly the same amount of boxes, but one for me. I look at the candidates. I think all of them. I have the impression and feel that they all want to make Lucan Biddulph a better place to live. That's a big check mark. That they're all that's their goal, and I do feel that. The other thing with the short term, a year and a half, is that they have an understanding how municipality works, and all their own way definitely check that box, all of them. However, I do want to speak to the Ward 2 from calling and representing that ward, and also some things that have gone on in the past with our council. We had to update our bylaw, so obviously at some point in time, our senior staff and probably our senior council member was involved in that bylaw. That there was some importance to living in Ward 2. Obviously, it was offside of the municipal act, and we did update that. But our bylaw did state replacing a candidate must live in the ward. My time on council, I did bring up at large, running at large, and we are, with no boundaries. I did feel that at the time, that I felt that there shouldn't be boundaries. We want what's best for Lucan Biddulph. Didn't go over well. I didn't get, I would say, very little support from staff and council, and I buried that. Certainly, there was no appetite for that. So, and then lastly, even myself running against my opponent at the time, going door to door and seeing people say it to my face. It was a very close race I had. And I was told, you both check the boxes, but Dave, you don't live in Ward 2. And that's what I was told in that ward. I was fortunate. I'm glad I was able to represent the ward, but that is something that I experienced. When you have all the candidates checking the same box, it's, people can say, Dave, that's a weak one to go with, that box. But for me, I think it's an importance to our community, and I'm being asked to put up my hand to replace, the Ward 2 position. So me putting up my hand to do that, I feel that's the correct choice, and that's my reasoning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Deputy Mayor Manders. Any other discussion from my colleagues? Councillor Westman.
I think everybody at the table knows that I've expressed my concern about replacing the electorate. We were all elected here, to represent our wards and to represent the community, and it's a tough call, especially when we have 5 so well-suited people. I mean, we do. I know everybody but Jayden, I know quite well, and have a lot of respect and care for them. And in my case, I think what I was looking at was ultimately qualifications, and they all seem to be quite good. I mean, there's check boxes across the board. And I think that because I was quite a outspoken person about keeping to our wards, having the representation within the ward so that residents can have accessibility to them. That's important too. And we are a small community, so it's safe to say that everyone can be that. But I think for myself, weighing this out over the last while, I've bounced back and forth on a few things and really done my homework. And I feel that at this point, this is the best way to go forward.
So just so I can clarify, Councillor Westman, I don't mean to put you on the spot. So sometimes motions are seconded to get the discussion going. So I want to be clear that you are in support of the motion that's on the floor. That's how. Okay.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other comments from council at this time? Okay, I might just take a moment to, again, preface by thanking everybody and repeating what my colleagues have said. This is a difficult decision, and certainly it wasn't one that I think that any of us, when we took these roles on, thought that we would be making this decision. And Councillor Westman, you know, he used, he said concerns about replacing the electorate. And there's no question. This is a heavy responsibility that we have. I've said many times over the last few weeks, months, that the next few months will make the biggest decision. But we have the biggest decisions that will be extremely impactful to our community over the next few months. But this decision tonight, this does weigh. It does, because we have 5 candidates who, it's clear, love where they live and they want to contribute to it. And all 5 candidates bring different assets to the table. And we all bring a different lens to the table, and to discern that it's difficult to move through. And, you know, listening to all 5 candidates tonight, it's interesting how many of the same themes kept replaying in what they felt was important to the community, what they saw as, you know, decisions to be made. And that's gratifying to hear, that the understanding of what's in front of us and what's important to community. And so, you know, in listening to Councillor or Deputy Manders, excuse me, you know, that is that box. And so what differentiates it? And I would say I would agree that if we're checking off boxes, living in Ward 2 is attractive and is a difference maker for me at this time. So when the vote comes, I would be in support of this motion. So one last call for questions or comments. So with that, Ron, did you want to read the motion back?
Sorry, Madam Mayor. The motion, let me just bring it up on my screen here, because I am on the wrong screen. And of course, now it's not coming up.
Well, I happen to have it written down. I was just going to get you to do your clerk thing, but.
Oh, okay. I've got it right here. So it says, oh, yeah, sorry, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So the motion that would be, the formal motion would read, resolved that the Council of the Township of Lucan Biddulph appoint Jaden Hodgins, to fill the vacant Ward 2 councillor position. And that was moved by Deputy Mayor Manders, and it was seconded by Councillor Westman. Any further discussion? All opposed? And that's carried. Thank you very much. So I want to thank all candidates for putting their name forward. It's not easy to not be chosen, but I certainly hope that you will still contribute to the community, find ways. I know some of you better than others, and I know that that's not a question, that you will still contribute, and certainly we will look for ways to involve you in the community. And I want to thank and congratulate Jaden at this time. Ron, do you want to just go through the next steps of what will happen, what has to happen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first, there is a bylaw. We need to appoint the new member by bylaw, so there's a formal bylaw that needs to be passed. So there's bylaw 51-2021 being a bylaw to appoint a new council member. So that was included in your package tonight. As well, there is a confirming bylaw number 52-2021. So those motions can all be done at the same time in the normal manner, Madam Mayor.
And then what does Jaden have to do? Because he will have to take an oath of office. So when would that happen? And does that have to happen by the end of the month? I know we have so many days to fill the vacancy and we're creeping up to that 60-day mark.
Correct. He needs to be appointed by the end of the month. So after the meeting is over, I will reach out to Jaden Hodgins probably tomorrow. I'll give him some chance to celebrate tonight. And then we will determine sort of his availability as well as yours, Madam Mayor. And we will have Lisa DeBoer sort of live stream the swearing in and the taking of the oath.
So
that'll happen before the end of the month. It has to happen before the end of the month.
So that can be done with the clerk, with the mayor. It does not have to be a special council meeting.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, so with that, we will move on to our motions and our bylaws. And the recommended motion is that if no one cares to speak to these bylaws on their first, second, and third reading, that they be considered to have been read a first time and passed, read a second time and passed, read a third time and passed, and that they be numbered 51-2021, appoint a new council member bylaw, and 52-2021, the confirming bylaw. Can I get a mover and a seconder for those bylaws, please? Councillor Westman and Deputy Mayor Manders. All opposed? And that's carried. And then resolved that the special council meeting be adjourned at 7:43 p.m. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Westman. All opposed? And that's carried.